No. I was just looking forward to it again after international break. Just looking forward to getting back down there again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get amongst it.
Yeah, get amongst. Welcome back to BCFC Royal Blue, and it's a fantastic feeling knowing the international break is over and we can finally get back to the domestic football and get down to St.Andrews at Knighthead Park, where this weekend we play Norwich City, who have had a very difficult start to the season. And as always, in this game, we're going to talk about possible lineups, what we might expect from both teams, and of course, we'll end it with one of our score predictions. So, Dad, sad to mention, but the last time we played Norwich at home was the final game of the season in the Championship a few seasons ago, which ended in League One. But hopefully a better result this weekend.
Yeah, we was all there, and Blues fans will remember this. We won the game 1-0, but every single result went against us. If any one of those other 4 or 5 fixtures had gone the other way, then we would have stayed up. Paik scored the goal, didn't he?
Header, I think.
I can't remember, but I remember.
It came across the box. I think he headed it. If not, it was definitely a cross that came in.
I thought it was a shot. But anyway, we won the game 1-0. Yeah, you're right, Matt. I mean, they've had a torrid start to the season. Clearly, they appointed Liam Manning as manager at the start of the season on the basis of what he'd done at Bristol City. And they really haven't fired, have they? As you said, 23rd. Who'd have thought that? Norwich City come into this game after 15 games played, a 23rd.
I know. Not just that, Dad, but 7 games at home at Carrow Road and 7 losses.
That's staggering, isn't it?
It is for Norwich.
Because traditionally they're very strong at home. We struggled desperately there, don't we?
Oh, Dad, we've not won at Carrow Road since 2002.
Yeah.
And to put that into context, that was, we haven't got the top up. It was the Phones for You year that we got promoted. And it was Stern John in the black one.
Yeah.
That's how long it's been since we won at Carrow Road. And they've lost 7 this season already. Not like typical Norwich, is it?
And obviously they've got rid of Liam Manning now. So at the time of recording, and this may change when this goes out, because we're a few days early here, they haven't got a manager. They have a caretaker manager. Excuse me. And they've really, out of the last 2, 4, 6, 8, about 11 or 12 games, they've drawn 3 and lost 9. So their last win actually was in the 4th game that they played this season, was when they went 2-0 at Blackburn. And as you said, they've had all those results. I mean, they've Norwich. Imagine that, you're a Norwich City fan going at home and you're losing 7 on the bounce. And I think it's 8 actually. 'Cause I think they lost in the cup as well.
Right.
But they are, and I know people have said the league table doesn't. They are currently 23rd, but they are a better team than that. They are. Some of the players that they've got, we'll talk about in a moment. But what's done them is that they're not scoring goals. They've only scored 14 goals, which is the 5th worst in the Championship, and they've conceded 23, which is the 4th worst. Wow. So they're not scoring goals and they're conceding goals. So ultimately,
that's why you're in 23rd.
That's exactly why you're 23rd.
But in recent years, Dad, they've had some cracking players. You think about like Gabriel Sara, Todd Cantwell, got some here. Josh Sargent obviously still plays for them. Yeah, exactly. Max Aarons. They've had some really, really good talent come through the door at Norwich, and considering they're in 23rd, they actually spent quite a bit of money this summer. And again, I'm sure you've got the transfers there on your computer.
They actually made a profit. Because they had who did they sell? Now they sold. They got the money for Jonathan Rowe, didn't they? So that he was originally a loan, and then that was made permanent. So they got that. They sold. What's his name as well? Oh, really good player. I haven't got his name here. Who they sold?
Is it Gabriel Sara?
They sold Sara, but there was got Jonathan Rowe. They sold Borja Sykes.
Right.
Signs he went for 13 million. Jonathan Rowe they got 14 million.
Wow.
A controversial one. Marcelo Nunes went to Ipswich. Around about 8.6 million. So they actually, even though they spent a lot of money, they got more money in than they spent. So
it's good business.
They've actually done very, very well.
Yeah.
I mean, at the time of recording, obviously 15 games in, them in 9 points, very, very poor return for them. But do you know what, Matt? This Championship is so tight with their new manager. They have got the players to obviously significantly improve. But I mean, just to say, that Josh Sargent is currently their top scorer with 5 goals.
He's going to score regardless of what team you put him in. He's a good player. Imagine Sargent in a top 4 team.
Well, he nearly went to the Bundesliga, didn't he? With Wolfsburg in the
20
summer.
million, I believe it was.
And they brought in this big, tall lad who I thought, I looked at his stats when he came in, a bit like what we do with our players. Matthias Kifsgaarden, but he's got 3 goals. And then Jovan Makama has got 3 goals. And then that's it, Jack Stacey 1, Harry Darling 1. They haven't scored many. Assists Jack Stacey's 2 and a few 1. So they're not being that creative. But with their style of play, if they're set up correctly, Liam Manning's been playing them as a 4-2-3-1, similar to what we play. But of course, we don't know what we're going to get because they're either going to have a caretaker manager or a new manager. That's probably going to change the system. because obviously
Yeah.
what they're doing
But
ain't working.
you can still pick up on patterns of play and the way they play games. I completely agree. A manager changes everything. You know, the vision, the way they set up. I do agree, but you can still look at Norwich games because it's still going to be a relatively same starting 11 and look at patterns of play, strengths and weaknesses and stuff. But you're right, Dad. I was almost chuckling to myself preparing for this one, thinking, well, actually, it could all be changed on the day because Liam
Yeah.
Manning's no longer there, and we can only reference the
Yeah.
games which he's been in charge.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing that sticks out for me, Dad, the biggest thing that sticks out is, you know, I see Norwich as a very solidly defensive team. They do the basics very well. They don't traditionally concede many goals. They're solid. And they have been leaking goals left, right, and centre. And we referenced this, Dad, in a video earlier in the week with our next 5 fixtures. They've been conceding goals from set pieces. They've been conceding goals at distance. They've been having individual errors at the back. They've been conceding goals in all the way you can possibly imagine. And that's not like a typical Norwich team. And they're not creating enough going forward. They're very typical problems of teams who are in the bottom half and not the relegation zone. You know, you're not scoring goals and you're also conceding those. Of course, that's a recipe for relegation, but there's just something off because it's Norwich.
Yeah.
They're not. They don't normally typically have these woes. You know, they don't normally concede the goals I've seen them be conceding. And fair enough, they have conceded some screamers. I think about Josh Windass at them with Wrexham. You know, you're not stopping that regardless of who you're playing, but it's the sloppy goals that concerns me in terms of, well, it would concern me if I was a Norwich fan. They're leaking goals left, right and centre. And they need to, don't want to sound like a politician, but they need to stop the rot a bit, don't they?
Well, without a doubt. I mean, they're going to have to start picking points up. I mean, you mentioned some of their strengths and weaknesses. You know, they're good at creating chances with through balls. That's where their strength is, and that's where Josh Sargent's quite fast, isn't he? So he can latch onto it. So we'll have to watch that. But you know, weaknesses. You know, they're not very good at finishing scoring chances. Aerial duels, they're not the strongest as well. Avoiding individual errors. I mean, they do make a lot of individual errors, which is why they're giving us sloppy goals. They're very weak on that. But these are all things that are fixable. You know, so it's just concentration sometimes, confidence. And I think under a new manager now, he'll sort them out. But
I saw one goal that they conceded, Dad. I think it might have been Wrexham at home. It might not have been. I'm sure a Norwich fan could correct me if they remember. But it was one where it came back to the goalkeeper, and the goalkeeper obviously tried to clear it. Didn't clear it in time. Went off a player's back, and then
I
went
think
straight in.
I remember that goal.
I mean, it was just a comedy of error, and really, really poor. But I think that when you think about Norwich as well, I always think about them as a solid defensive team, but they are. Again, historically here, if we forget this season, they've always been decent going forward in terms of from open play, creating chances. And when you think about like Daniel, remember Farke when he was in charge?
Yeah.
You know, he very much commanded his number 10 to be that creative engine in the create a lot of chances. They're definitely missing that spark again. The number 10 isn't quite stepping up. They're not creating enough chances.
Well, that's that Kifgarden. He's
I mean, I take your point, Dad, about them maybe being quite good at through balls and they can create chances. Of course they can. But, like, they're definitely, again, just missing something from that magic of creating chances from open play.
Yeah, I mean, you know, they do like short passes. They do like possession football. And a traditional Norwich team are very good at that. But if you look, I've just mentioned those players that they've lost. I mean, there's a lot of flair gone from that side and pace as well. I mean, I used to like Jonathan Rowe as well when he scored against us when we played them last time. We lost 2-1 under Rooney. Remember? It was 2-0, not 2-1. He was very good. Like Science was a good player as well. You know, and they've lost flair, haven't they? So that's maybe what they haven't captured this season in their team. So really, you know, it's obvious where they are, isn't he? So what they'll play is they've got Makama is their right winger. He's quite fast and pacey.
He played for Lincoln last year.
Yeah, he's a good player though.
Yeah, he's a
good player. Obviously, Josh Sargent's their number 9, and they've got a left winger called Swarteru. Obviously, Harry Darling we know about at the back. He was linked with a lot of teams, wasn't he?
Swansea on a free, weren't he?
Kenny McLean as a left back, good experienced player. The goalkeeper, I don't know much about the goalkeeper, Kovacevic. But obviously, they've generally always had good goalkeepers, haven't they? Norwich as well.
Yeah,
so I think there's a lot there that they need to. And I think their new players need to step up. The likes of obviously Kifgarden, Papa Diallo, they bought him for £5 million. Meko Topic, 3.5 million. They spent a little bit of money, but obviously they've got rid of some real class players. Angus Gunn was their goalkeeper, wasn't he? He went on a free transfer. I think he came to the end of his contract. But you know, to them, it's going to be a bit of a free hit, this one, because they're at the bottom or near the bottom of the league. They're in a transition now with their manager, so they're going to want to play well. Either their new manager will be appointed, or their caretaker manager will get them well fired up for this.
Yeah,
and they have done better away than they have at home.
It's one of those things, isn't it? That we said this in the 5 fixtures again. It's that wounded animal theory. we want to, exploit their moment of temporary weakness and lack of confidence, but also they could be really fired up here trying to prove a point. So actually, I think you have to forget about Norwich on this one and think about Blues. Chris Davies, when he's getting the teams and the boys ready,
good point,
needs to just focus on us and our game. And if we play like we know we can at St.Andrews, Dad, this is a very winnable game.
Yeah.
Even if Norwich were in the top half of the table and firing like they normally are, us at St.Andrews are strong.
Yeah.
This is a winnable game, and we need to, be firing on all cylinders. What we do, what Chris Davies does, sets the team up in that way. The final thing I know is from me, Dad, again, style of play, short passes, quick transitions, overlapping fullback runs, big part of the game.
Yeah.
And also, it's been dubbed, they have an intelligent press, which I thought was quite interesting. So what that means is they will press, but they don't press to the point of making it uncomfortable to then complete passes or almost put too much pressure on. So they can fall back into position when needed. I thought that was quite interesting because our press is quite aggressive, isn't it? We go all out with Stansfield up on the top line. He will run and run and run that line, and we have a very aggressive press. But so that to me says, especially them being the away team, they will press, they will make us uncomfortable, but they could sit not deep, but just sit off a little bit.
They seem to be more comfortable playing away though, and they are away. So that's going to take a little. Their home pressure, their home games when they play them, there's going to be a lot of pressure on them at home because of what's happened. Yeah. I think they can be a bit freer away. Now they have obviously got in transition for manager again, and another not really the right time to be playing them, but you got to play everybody at some point anyway. Yeah, exactly. We played Middlesbrough at the wrong time, didn't we? So let's go on to the Blues team, Matt, and give us our thoughts on who's going to be in the starting lineup. So as always, we'll go from the back through the midfield and then to the front. So
in the interest of this one, Dad, am I okay to talk you through my whole team just because I've made a few decisions that I need to justify in the midfield? So that makes more sense for me. So I've gone for I've heard at the time of recording, Beadle's picked up an injury for the under-21s just before the England game. So if that continues, at the moment we don't know how serious that is, I will plump for Allsop in the interest of that injury. I've gone for Cochrane left back. I've gone for Neumann and Clara at the centre backs, and I've gone for Assoy Samuel back at the right back position. Okay. And the reason why I've done that, and again this is why I've asked to explain the whole team, I've put Awata back in the midfield with Doyle because Pake's now missing. Yeah. And I think Awata gives us that extra bit of bite in the midfield. So Assoy Samuel back at right back, Awata and Doyle in the 2-6s. I've gone for Gray on the left, Dukes in the 10, Roberts on the right, feeding into Stansfield.
Yeah, quite similar to my team, mate. I've gone for Beadle in goal, again, notwithstanding...
Pending injury.
Yeah, pending injury. But I've gone for Beadle in goal, Cochrane, left back, Clara and Neumann centre halves. I've gone for Awata at right back. In my 6s, I've gone for Leonard and Doyle. I know that Pake's missing. I see your logic in that, and that could happen.
There's two reasons for me, Dad. One, I think Awata is needed in the midfield if we don't have Pake in there, in terms of like a little bit of bite, a little bit of snap, a little bit of that.
And Leonard can give us that.
But he was underwhelming against Middlesbrough.
Yeah, but he's had games where he hasn't been, so I think it's a fair chance there. So I've gone for Leonard and Gray. I've gone for the same as you then, the front line. I've gone for Gray, Damari Gray on the left, Roberts on the right, Dux in the 10, and Stansfield.
That surprised me. I thought you might have picked Keshi Anderson.
No, because it seems to. Well, I think that clearly Chris Davies favours Damari Gray. I think Keshi, for me, gives a bit more physicalness. He's a bit more positive going forward, and there's a bit more end product with him as well. But I think that it will be Gray. Again, I'd love to see Anderson in there as well. But yeah, I mean, Awata's an interesting one where he puts him now. I think Chris Davies possibly sees him as a right back. We have got Bright.
Chris Davies doesn't seem to fancy him though, does he?
No, and I don't know why. I mean, he played for Nigeria, didn't he? And they won 4-1 their game, and he played the whole game for them. Did he? And I think we have to caveat some of this as well with the international players. If anybody that we've picked is an international player, and they could potentially either be rested or pick up a niggly injury that we might not be aware of. But that, as the time of recording, that's the time that the teams that we believe will be starting. But but we obviously got the likes of Kumas, who seems to be now a nailed on sub.
I don't think Kumas is a starter. By the way, I quite like Kumas in terms of I like his ability to get past a player and all these things. His end product isn't good enough at the moment, and that's quite clear to see. So for me, Kumas is an impact kind of sub.
Well, we'll see. Obviously, we've got the likes of Dykes on the bench as well, and Fujimoto, who I don't think we'll see much of. But so let's have a score prediction to finish then, Matt. What do you reckon?
Okay, so I think we have enough to win this game, but I think it's going to be closer than what some people think. I'm going to go for Birmingham City 2 and Norwich City 1.
Yeah, I'm going 3-1.
Okay.
I'm going 3-1. I think that we are at home, we are strong. But again, this is another. They'll have a point to prove, so it's not going to be a walkover at all. They'll be very strong, I think, and they'll really come at us. I think have a real proper go. But
Yeah, I don't know. I just got a feeling because of everything that's gone on, who knows whether there's going to have to be a manager in place or not, but they're going to want to. It'll be like the Middlesbrough theory, isn't it? We played them. They were fired up. It did have that playoff semi-final, cup final kind of element to it. I don't think it'll be that level because Edwards, left Middlesbrough on iffy terms, so they haven't quite got that, but they will be fired up. And no doubt it's going to be a difficult game. 2-1 Blues, 3-1 Blues.
Yeah, they'll see it as a fresh start and a clean slate, so we have to be wary.
Any final thoughts, Dad, or we're going to close the video?
No, I'll just looking forward to it again after international break. Just looking forward to getting back down there again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get amongst it.
Yeah, get amongst it, absolutely. But as always, Birmingham City supporters, we would love to hear from you. Please let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Maybe you're an Irish supporter. Maybe you've remember us from a couple of years ago. Maybe you've tuned in for the first time. We'd love to hear from you as well. And if you like this video specifically, please don't forget to give us a thumbs up and check us out on our social media channels. We have an X page, an Instagram page, and we're also over on Spotify, so you can listen and watch us over there. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel and press that bell icon so you get notified every time we post. And myself and Dad will see you on the next one, all about Birmingham City.